Everyone, it's Marian. Welcome to a very merry PLANTMAS, where we take a look back on our plant journey in 2021 as well as celebrate the holiday season. And in previous PLANTMAS videos, I talk about my best and worst plant purchases in 2021. So for this video, we're going to talk about my best trades that I did this year, which, to be honest, I think I gotten better plants in doing plant trades than the plants that I bought this year. So let's go ahead and get started. So for the plants that I'm talking about in my best plant trades in 2021, I'm including plants that I have gotten for free, including this very first one, which I won in a giveaway from Costa Farms, which is the Thai Constellation Monstera. And I'm not even gonna lie, this is probably one of the best things that happened to me this year, not just when it comes to plants. And Thai Constellation Monstera has been in my wishlist plants for so long. And even though I already own one from my Thailand import, I was still so excited and very happy and feel very fortunate to have this one from Costa Farms because it is a much mature plant. As you can see in the footage, it is more fenestrated, and of course having the bragging rights of being among the first to receive this plant from Costa Farms, and not to mention getting it for free. And last I heard, they're slated to release the Thai Constellation Monstera in big box stores in fall 2022. Fingers crossed, if not, it might be pushed to 2023 just because they want to make sure that they have enough of the Thai Constellation Monstera so that everyone who wants it can get one and it won't end up in the hands of resellers for a very high price. We don't want that. So the point of them mass producing it is for the prices to go down and for anyone who wants it can get one. But yeah, so I'm really excited for everyone else to have the Thai Constellation Monstera. Some people even say it's more popular now than the Monstera Albo. I'm not too sure about that. I think both plants do get a lot of love from the plant community, especially from people who love variegated monsteras like I do. So when it comes to actual trades, this one is, I think, one of my best scores because if you know anything about me, I love my Pothos plants and I try to collect as many of the varieties of the Pothos plants as much as I can. So I was really happy to find or score this plant trade, this Emerald Pothos, and I think I traded a bit of my string of turtles cuttings as well as a Tradescantia that I didn't want anymore in exchange for this one. And I think nowadays it's easier to find the Emerald Pothos along with the Global Green, but when I first got in this, which back in spring, it wasn't easy to find this at all, and it could also cost a pretty good price to get them, unlike a regular Pothos plant. So I was really happy to add it to my collection. Actually, the person I traded with didn't even realize they had an Emerald Pothos. I did inform them though, and they were still willing to trade with me. So I'm really happy to add this to my collection. The bigger mother plant is planted with the Ruby Ficus elastica at the base. So this one is just a propagation of it. So I'm really excited to use this for a future plant trade, and maybe I get another wishlist Pothos plants to add with this Emerald Pothos. So another amazing plant trade from the same plant swap is this Philodendron Cream Splash. And when I first got in it, this was essentially a single leaf cutting that became a single node, and from that single node it became this plant. So I'm really proud of this one, not just as one of my best plant trades, but also one of the best propagations that I did in 2021. And I'm really happy with this one because if you've seen my worst plant purchases in 2021, I bought something that I initially thought was a Philodendron Cream Splash. It turned out to be just a Philodendron Brazil, but I didn't feel too bad about that one because I got this. And this one, I'm actually not really sure what it is because the person I traded with wasn't really sure what it is. And I traded Philodendron Micans for this one, and she wasn't sure it was a Rio Silver Stripe Cream Splash. You can see from the photo of the single leaf cutting that I got, the variegation on that is a little bit different from the ones that's currently growing from this plant. This one is kind of looking more like a Philodendron Silver Stripe, but we will see as it more matures and if I could get leaves similar to the one that I got from the single leaf cutting, and maybe then we can properly ID this plant. But right now I'm just really happy that I have a type of Philodendron Brazil Sport that has the cream variegation in it, so I don't really care at this point if this is the Rio Cream Splash or the Silver Stripe. So for the next one, I'm gonna throw Tradescantia some love because I feel like in my previous videos I've been kind of like trash talking them, But this Tradescantia that I got, which is the Tradescantia Gentlei, I didn't get this from a trade. I actually got this for free. Not gonna lie, I got it from a supermarket cart. It was in my cart when I was shopping at Lidl. I picked it up to see if it was actually something that would grow into a plant. So essentially, I think it was just like this cutting on top. I mean, that size of cutting on top, and then it grew into this plant. So this Tradescantia is what Tradescantias are supposed to be as advertised, because this one grows fast. It's not finicky. As you can see, it has some dried tips because I often don't water this on time. This one actually needs watering right now, but this is a survivor. It doesn't die out very easily like other Tradescantias that doesn't like getting overwatered, but also doesn't like getting underwatered. So this one, it can handle some underwatering and can also handle a bit of overwatering. So this one is more resilient than most Tradescantia plants I ever had. It does get a bit leggy as it grows, but unlike other Tradescantia plants that don't look good when it becomes leggy, this one's actually still looks pretty good. And like I said, it's very easy to propagate. I have one propagating in my prop station right now, which I'm eventually going to add into this pot. Throwing in some Tradescantia love with this Tradescantia Gentlei that I got for free. So next amazing plant trade that I was able to make this year is the Monstera Standleyana. So this one is the Standleyana Albo, and this one is the Standleyana Hoya. So they kind of like switch places. If you've seen my Monstera Standleyana care video, the Albo is the more established plant, while the Hoya was the one that's still propagating. But the Hoya fully propagated. The Standleyana, after I bragged about it not suffering any root rot or giving me any problems, it suffered from root rot right after I did that video. So this is one of those plants that I had in Leica, which was doing well, but after some time, it started not doing well in Leica. So it started rotting, so I had to chop it off and make propagations. This is one of them, and this one is rooted pretty well. I might have to transplant it at some point, but I'm thinking of keeping this in water for as long as I can. And this one, this Standleyana Hoya, I did put it in Leica for now, just because, like I said, initially my plants do well in Leica. So this one I'm putting in Leica for now until I find a better solution for it. Actually, the only reason a lot of my plants are in Leica right now is I ran out of soil and I don't want to buy soil, but I think I might have to buy soil soon, even though I don't want to do any repotting in winter, but that's for another video. I think we will see. But yeah, so the only reason some of my plants have been converted to Leica recently is I'm out of soil, and Leica is all I have. So cross fingers they would actually survive being in Leica during the winter season, like with my Monstera Standleyana Hoya, which I got off a trade from Facebook Marketplace. The girl was selling it. She lives in my area. I offered a cutting of my Albo when this was a much larger plant for her Hoya. She said yes, and that's the reason I got this one. And this one I got in the same plant swap that I got the Philodendron Rio, Cream Splash, Silver Stripe, and the Emerald Pothos. So this one's probably one of my best trades when it comes to value, because a Standleyana, compared to other Monstera plants that have become a lot more common and a lot more accessible, this one, at least in my area, and I believe in many areas still, can still pack a really high price. It can still cost around $100 depending on the size of the plant. Like a cutting like this, I can still see going for like $60 to $80 either in Facebook Marketplace or on Etsy. So that's why I'm really happy and fortunate that I was able to get these two plants for free during plant trades. And I know I keep saying this for every plant, but this one is also a favorite plant trade that I did in 2021, which is for the Scindapsus Silver Lady. So this Scindapsus is on top of my wish list when it comes to Scindapsus, and I actually initially tried to purchase this in my Indonesia import order from Etsy, but the plant that I received wasn't a Silver Lady, it was just a regular Exotica. So I was really upset about that, but luckily I had the opportunity to get this via plant trade with Jeff from Plants Alive. I traded my Majula and Emerald Pothos for a 2 to 3 leaf cutting of this. And what's amazing about this Scindapsus, because usually for me Scindapsus are kind of hard to propagate, but this one, all 3 leaves propagated beautifully. I didn't lose any single one, and now it is this plant. It has produced so many new leaves now, and I can't wait for it to produce larger leaves like this original leaf that I got. I don't think I'm going to make this shingle like I am trying to do with my Scindapsus Silver Hero, but kind of like with my Scindapsus Silver Splash or my Scindapsus Jade Satin, I kind of want to try to help it grow larger leaves. So I think by just constantly pruning this and making sure that it has support to grow those larger leaves, I can make that happen like I did with my Silver Splash and Scindapsus Jade Satin. So I'm really excited about this plant. Glad to finally add it into my Scindapsus/Pothos collection, and it's one of my favorite plants from this year. So the last thing that I'm going to mention is something that I traded my Thigh Constellation Monstera for. This is not the Thigh Constellation Monstera that I want from Costa Farms. This is a propagation of the Thigh-Con that I imported from Thailand last year. And I have done a whole video on that, so if you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. I'll link it up here and also down in the description. But what I got for that Thigh Constellation propagation is first, this Hoya Polyneura Fishtail. So I know this plant is probably basic now for a lot of Hoya heads, but I'm not a Hoya head. I don't really have a large Hoya collection, but this is one of those plants when I first started my plant journey, I really wanted to add into my plant collection. Although the price of this plant has gone down dramatically since it was first introduced to the houseplant community, especially the variegated version of this plant is now more sought after. This can still pack quite a price even though this plant has become a bit more accessible. Last time I checked on Etsy, a 2-leaf cutting of this, kind of like with this one, still costs around $50 on average. But this one I got for free as part of my plant trade, and I'm really happy. This one propagated so fast, so easily. I didn't have any problem with this like with my other Hoya plants that I propagated in the past. This one is a lot easier to propagate to compared to my Hoya carrii, which I know is another of one of my most popular videos that I ever put out here on YouTube. Aside from my Pothos video, the Hoya carrii propagation video is one of my popular ones, and I'm telling you right now, this is a lot easier to grow than that one. And it has produced leaves so far. It actually produced 4 new leaves, but this one kind of rotted off because I kept it too long in the prop box. But I have since taken it out of the prop box and has produced 2 new leaves since. So I'm really excited about that, to finally have a Hoya Fishtail or Hoya Polyneura as part of my plant collection. Last and certainly not the least, my Monstera Albo. I did get this as part of that trade for the Thigh Constellation Monstera. I got this and the Hoya Polyneura, and like most people, I wanted a Monstera Albo as part of my plant collection. A Monstera Albo is probably the most coveted of all when you are a plant collector, and I'm really happy to get one from a plant trade that I didn't have to pay for it because I didn't want to pay for it. Part of the reason I bit the bullet and imported the Thigh Constellation Monstera last year, because one, I did get the Thigh Constellation Monstera also for a good price, and eventually I did want to trade it for a Monstera Albo, and it did happen. It finally happened, and when I got this, it was actually just, I think, this 3 leaves, and this one, as you can see, I had to cut off the white part because when I got it, it already started to brown. As you can see with this one, and this one is also starting to brown. But my main concern with this Monstera Albo, which for a lot of people is probably a happy problem to have, is it keeps producing white leaves. So we love the white variegation, but it's not great for the plant. So I'm really hoping for it to produce more leaves like this one, or maybe even this one. But so far it hasn't, and the new growth that is coming in is also coming out completely white. So what I have done is maybe a month or maybe even longer, I started to air layer it so I could cut it off, and hopefully the new growth that comes out would produce a leaf that has more green variegation in it instead of white. So I am not sure though when I will do it, because as you can see from here, I don't know if you can see, the roots have started to grow. So I think I could separate it from the mother plant. So I could cut it at this point, and for some reason there's also a growth point coming from this area. I'm not sure if that's an aerial root or an actual plant growth, but I kind of want the plant to grow from the greener side of the node so that it would produce more green leaves. So that is the plan. I really don't want to do it right now because it is the winter season, and also I'm leaving for vacation right after Christmas for 2 weeks. So I don't really have the time to monitor this plant if I do that, but I might eventually have to and take that risk. So watch out if I actually end up doing it before Christmas, because if you remember last year, I also repotted my Thigh Constellation Monstera right before Christmas, and that worked out fine for me. So maybe it would work the same for the Monstera Albo, maybe not. We will see. So watch out for that video. When it happens, I'll make sure to let you know. I saw Erica just posted her Monstera Albo update, and that is kind of inspiring me to do the same for my Monstera Albo, to finally chop it off and repot it, even though it is the winter season and I'm doing it right before Christmas. But we will see. You'll find out in an upcoming video if I ever do it. But yeah, so those are my best plant trades in 2021. Let me know what are yours down in the comments. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please do subscribe. I do come up with videos every week. And now that it's PLANTMAS, I'm coming out with videos 3 times a week. And if you miss any of them, I have a playlist link up here and also down description. So check out my other PLANTMAS videos while you wait for the next one. But until then, I see you. I appreciate you. Take care of yourself and each other, and have a plentiful holiday season. Bye.